Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Jack looks like shit.
I mean, he did just give up a lot of his blood.
Yes. Yeah, no. He should, but he does.
Shows up covered in his blood. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Fuck you, John Locke. I cannot tell you how much that pisses me off more than anything ever in the history of Lost.
Yeah, that's like the murderer showing up to a funeral, like covered in the person's blood.
I love you, Locke, but change the shirt.
Why is he still walking around in it?
I anticipate a lot of FU John Locks in this recap. I'm just gonna say it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds for more Lost, episode 21, The Greater Good.
Greater good.
The
Greater good.
Yes. Michael, Kevin, Kristin, and I are here to talk about this episode. And this is a big episode. A lot came out. I figured out I was right with one of my predictions from earlier in the season. So I'm very...
We were real proud of you.
Yeah.
in the spoiler section.
We did.
Yeah. Well, like, I figured... I mean, we'll get to it, but I guess I'll say a little bit of my piece now. Like, I figured it was just the most logical person to do that. Like, I just didn't see any other options. So,
You were bang on.
yeah.
And we all hated you for it.
We were proud, but also mad. Like,
Yeah, we're like, oh.
Like, we're really proud of you for being so smart, but also like, God damn it, how did you figure this out? None of us figured it out when we watched it.
Right.
Immediately.
Immediately. And
I
like
just-
couldn't be like moved off the scent.
Right.
Yeah. I think I just clocked, like, yeah, like he literally wanted them all to stay on the island. Like, it just seemed very obvious for me at least that, I don't know. Like, if there had been like other like red herrings, then maybe I would have bought into those. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Any other facts about this episode before we hit the synopsis?
Not really about the episode, but we mentioned it when we all repeated the thing. Kevin, Jake, and I find it very funny because we're fans of Hot Fuzz. So whenever we hear the phrase "the greater good," we have to repeat "the greater good."
The greater good.
The only thing I'm going to bring up, because now we can actually discuss it, and I forgot about this when we were doing our spoilers yesterday, because now that you know what the numbers are, we can actually point out that there are the numbers in the episode.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of numbers mentioned here, but none of the actual numbers. And this one wasn't actually mentioned. It was off in the distance. And you see the numbers 815 on a window when Sayid is walking. So, yeah, they are hidden everywhere. Like, they may not even be said, but yeah, they are still out there. So,
Also, the 4 guys in the apartment when Sayid gets there.
I mean, that one's a stretch, but sure.
Sure. I'm just trying to think. I don't notice numbers. I'm trying to contribute to anything here.
Everything is the number. It's fine. But yeah.
Just like quickly want to remind everyone this was 2005, probably shot in 2004. 9/11 was 2001. So like the anti anti-Middle Eastern sentiment was very strong. So to have this like nuanced, layered, like set of performances from people of like, yes, there are some people who are wanting to get revenge on people and doing terroristic things, but then there are also people who are, conflicted and caught in the middle, and people who want to do the right thing and don't want to do it at all. Like, props to the show for doing that at a time when that was not a popular thing to do.
Right.
It's a very bold episode for sure.
Yeah. And like presenting the CIA representative as being not the good guy, like very, very bold, like you said, on the part of production. And I appreciate it.
Well, shall we get into this? Oh boy, yeah.
Let's
I don't
get into
even
it.
start it because the start of this episode is just I get so angry. But we start off this episode where we see Sayid looking over at Shannon, still over Boone. Listen, I can't even hate on Shannon this episode, and that's what pisses me off the most is that I can't hate on her. But like we see her like fixing Boone's hair. She's so distraught. Obviously, Boone is gone. We mentioned from the last episode just like the feelings that she must have been feeling because she wasn't there and all those types of things. And we do see that they are gonna have a funeral for Boone. I don't even want to get to it because it's so absolutely disgusting that this asshole shows up.
Before that, we do have a nice moment of Sayid being like, "Oh, no one's gonna talk. Well, like I'll say something nice."
Yeah,
and it's so nice, and then it's ruined. It's ruined.
It's ruined by this asshole that shows up covered in his blood. Like literally, you couldn't change your shirt. Like you could not change your shirt.
Doesn't change for so many scenes.
Right. Like, I'm going to get to that part when we get there, but like, what are you doing? You could be like, oh, he didn't know that that's what was happening. He didn't know it was, let's see, you have the entire like camp gathered together. What do you think this is? Of course it's a funeral for Boone, and you show up in, fuck John Locke, that we're going to start it right off the bat. Right off the bat.
This was
so messed
awful. Up. Yeah, like I said in the reactions of like, this is literally like the murderer showing up to like a formal funeral wearing like the blood-soaked shirt. Like it's just disgusting, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
I totally understand all that, but like, come on, it was only Boone.
Okay, well.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
This shirt doesn't spin. I had to spin.
I know. You did the spinning and I turned the camera off. It's fine. It's fine.
Revenge. There we go.
Anyway, yeah, I mean no.
We'll get him back, Kristin. We'll get him back.
It's fine. It's gross. Anyway, I mean that just whole opening scene is just so like powerful and like you're feeling those emotions and like and we're talking about him showing up like that. Like you see Shannon turn around and her face just like says it all. And then you have other ones that are like, I can't even believe, like, what are you doing here? Like, they're just kind of like, what? We don't really know what's happened here. We like, cause a lot of them were left in the dust. They're just now finding out that Boone died. You know what I mean? Like they weren't there. So I can't imagine just all the questions people were having, the sadness, the confusion, just like all the things. And I think again, all of their faces, like they had great, you didn't even need words. Like I even mentioned when we were watching it, like Sawyer, you could see when they were bringing Boone up, like he was distraught. Just like you don't even need words for several of them in that scene, and it was great. That does lead us to my favorite moment. Thank you, Jack, for literally losing his mind. He was like, oh, where were you? And he like takes them out. He's like, where were you? You left him to die. You lied. You're a liar. I mean, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. Also, Sawyer and Sayid, like, screw you for pulling Jack off. Like, what? Just let him have it. Like,
excuse me.
You just talked bad on Sawyer.
I did. I did.
Okay, I need all the viewers to make a note of this. Take out your calendar app and put this on there.
I was making an innuendo joke. They did what to Jack? they pulled him off.
Yeah, so I mean, but obviously Jack is still, we're gonna see kind of his progression through this episode as well, of just kind of even the guilt and the things that he's still facing with this. Also, still isn't slapped and gave all of his blood, and he just like, he is, again, the attention to detail that we bring up almost every episode of Lost, like, just, you could, Kevin even said it when we were watching, he's like, Jack, you look like crap, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He looked awful. I mean, appropriately so, and well done by
100%.
But like,
yeah. So we do get into a flashback where we see Sayid is going through an airport. He is picked up, which, you know, again, this is like right after 9/11, a few years later. Obviously, people had like preconceived notions of people from the Middle East and things like that. So he gets picked up. He's probably used to this at this point, you know, if he's traveling. So he kind of walks into this like interrogation room, like, okay, whatever, like, I'm gonna be on my way soon. Let them have their moment. But we see that he is approached by the CIA agent, and she's like, here, you know this guy. He's like, yeah, so who cares? And like, well, no, there's gonna be like, there's C4 missing, there's something about to happen, we need you to go talk. He's like, I'm not doing anything for you. Like, I'm not doing anything for you.
Right.
And she's like, well, you will, because we know where she is. We do know that from Sayid in solitary, with Nadia, you know, he helped her escape. He obviously has been looking for her. That's why they have some leverage on him. And so they show him a photo, and you know, they bring up Noor, and that was obviously a homage to her going like, no one calls me Noor, Sayid, and so he says that line. He's like, no one calls her Noor. And so we just see Sayid instantly go like, this is what I've been searching for. Of course I'm going to do this. I want to see her. And so in that flashback, we do see that Sayid has now decided to work with them, and he's going to Sydney, which is kind of where it's all going to lead up to. I want to stop here because I know Jake, we saw it when you were watching, and you're feeling all the feels that we're feeling. What were your thoughts going into this opening funeral, this, like, where we're going to go with the Sayid flashbacks? What were your thoughts going into this episode?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I thought the funeral up until John Locke crashed it was pretty nice. Like, I thought that scene was really good and really sad. And then, you know, just having all the characters around, like, I think even just like seeing at this point how far Sawyer has come as well. We mentioned it, like the fact that he went from someone who was like, I don't know if like bad boy is the right term, but like someone who is not, you know, not the cleanest person in terms of like squeaky clean image. But the fact that he's gone and become this like super caring guy and like cares about everybody there. Like I think that's really, really cool to see. And then obviously Jack, I think, has at this point the justified reaction of tackling John Locke and, you know, losing his shit. So like I feel like I would have done the same thing at that point, because like Jack, like if he had the proper information, like it's not guaranteed that Boone would have survived, but at least like the chances would have been higher, and like they could have possibly done more. So like, you know, he basically, Locke made Jack, you know, break his oath like at that point. And so like it's sad, and so, you know, I completely get that justified reaction. And then yeah, as we already mentioned with, you know, this coming shortly after 9/11, like I think it's really cool to get this other perspective, and like I mean, we'll see it throughout the episode, but I was pretty happy to see another Sayid episode as well, because we haven't had one centered around him since episode 9. So it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
You mentioned that Sawyer wasn't a clean person, because we also found out he's not clean in terms of his sexual health either, thanks to Jack's little test for his glasses. So,
oh my god.
People make decisions in life. They're not always good ones. I mean, forswear.
It happens.
You can cure most of them with a shot to the butt. It's fine.
Yeah, we're good. Also, I mean, I want to bring up here too, because I didn't actually like touch on it, but I think it does need to be said, is like we see, like, we leave the episode yesterday, or from Boone dying and Jack going, I'm going after Locke, to we kind of open up, and when I talk about Jack's emotions, like, from the opening scene of him, like, trudging along into the jungle, and Kate's like, okay, we already know you can't track, I'll find you in like 2 seconds, so, which she does. But to getting that emotion from him, he's like, he lied. I based my medical decision off of that, and Boone died because of, like, the emotion that Jack is feeling in this. Like, it's just like, you feel the guilt, you feel the regret, you feel the rage, you feel just the exhaustion that he's, like, in, you know? And then to bring him to the funeral where, like, then he shows, like, he was out there looking for him and he didn't have to because he shows up like an idiot. But, like, then it all boils over. And I think Matthew Fox did amazing portraying just everything that somebody, like, that would have been in that position felt. And definitely needs to be talked about because, like, standing ovation for Jack and Matthew Fox in that moment. That was just an amazing scene to see. It's powerful. So.
Yeah, I love Jack. Because, okay, so here's the thing. Either it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter, and Boone was going to die anyway. But, like, you also don't know, like, they reset his leg, and then his leg ended up getting the compartment syndrome, right? So, like, regardless of whether or not he was actually going to die, like, that is a guilt that Jack is going to have forever now. Right. Like, which is like a thing that doctors have and they are used to it. But, like, that is a thing that he is going to feel guilty about forever. And, like, someone else did that by lying to him. And, like, it's also very personal. You know, it's yes, you did this to Boone, but it's also very personal. Like, you did this to me. So good job, Jack. And yeah, thank you for tackling the man who drives me crazy in every episode. It makes me so happy to see.
On the funeral side as well, it's like Boone is obviously the biggest character we've lost in terms of, like, a main character on the show. But, you know, for the reality of these survivors, this isn't the first funeral they've had to have. You know, we didn't know, but they lost Joanna, who died early on. You know, the marshal died very quickly. We lost Scott or Steve, whichever one it was that died. So, and this has all taken place over the course of, like, a week. So it's like they're back at this cemetery that they've had to make, burying another survivor. Like, they're all emotionally drained as well. It's like, it's been this constant cycle of death for about a week now.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing that John was saying too, right, is like he was trying to help us, he was trying to be a hero, like, right, like, the thing he's saying is a nice thing to say at a funeral, not in the bloody shirt.
Yeah.
And I don't mean bloody in terms of the British slang. I mean bloody as in it is covered in blood, the blood of the man who they are burying, right? Like, if he shows up in a different shirt and says that, yes, Jack still tackles him, but, like, the asshole factor goes so far down.
Yeah.
Goes so far down. Like, sir.
I mean, he does it, like, maybe don't show up at the funeral of the man you just had killed. Like, I mean.
I think the blood on his shirt represents the blood on his hands.
Right, but, like.
That's pretty good, right?
No. It does.
Listen,
but, like,
you're so adorable in your British accent trying to spin things around for Locke, and I can't do it.
But, like,
you're trying to make it so poetic, and it's not.
But, like, listen, if he as a character is, like, trying to portray his, like, guilt and have the blood on his hands, he can have blood on his hands and still not be covered in the blood. Yeah, like, and he can have a more subtle nod to it. Like, it is very apparent, and it's very, like, just dismissive of everybody else's feelings in a way that's like, again, I will always say, amazingly portrayed and written character, but, like, you do that for attention. You do that for a reason, and, like, fuck you, because I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be clear, I can't defend that. That's like great. It's crazy on his part that he did that. Absolutely crazy.
Not once, but twice, because we're about to get to it. But yes, yeah, it's amazing to me. Also, I do want to point out, because you guys mentioned, like, Jake, you mentioned Sawyer's story arc here of, like, a complete turnaround. like we have to remember, like early seasons, he literally picked a fight with Sayid
Yes.
over, you know what I mean, like talking about him being a terrorist and things like that.
Yes.
He didn't care. And now he's the one that's stopping the fights. Like he was fighting with everyone, and now he's like, "All right, Jack, calm down." Like, you know, like crazy, like 360 or 180.
Well, and I didn't used to like Sawyer. Like, you go back to the episode 1 recap, and I'm pretty sure I'm like, I hate this blonde dude. And now he's one of my favorite characters in the show. So,
yeah. I mean, shout out later too, but like, the entire cast of again this episode, just like they've all grown so much, and they're also like all of their relationships like intertwined. It's great.
Before we move on, I agree with that. I've always said about Lost, like the mysteries are what kind of hooks you into it, and the mysteries are fun to discuss. But what makes Lost special is the characters. Like these characters are so well written, so well performed. It's the characters that I always come back to, not the, what's the answer to this thing or that thing. Like it's the best character-based show I've ever watched.
100%. Moving on, we see that after this fight, Jack is still just like, he's heated. He's ready to still like, he's like, let me go back. Let me beat the crap out of this guy more. But we do see like Sayid and them, they're like, Jack, you need some sleep. Again, like this man literally 24 hours ago stayed up to try and to save this man's life, poured all of his blood into him, like all these things. He is not.
He still has the bandage around his arm.
Right, like he is not doing well. We see that, like again, the makeup job and things like that. He's pale and all these things. Of course, they're like, Sayid's like, we need like the one doctor to like please take care of themselves because otherwise we're all screwed. He's like, but no, he lied. He lied. It's kind of that main focus here of kind of where this episode takes is that Jack, who is the leader, is saying Locke lied. He's a liar, which is going to lead us into everything that, like, the snowball effect, if you will. We get into another flashback where we see that Sayid has now made it to Sydney. He's found his friend. They have kind of meet up and oh my God, you remember me? And it's kind of like, does that introduction, and he's like, how's your wife? And he's like, well, she died, straight bomb. And so you're starting to feel like, see where kind of this now friend is kind of where he's at. Like it's now starting to click in Sayid's head of how he got involved into this situation of now why Sayid's investigating him with the CIA. But for good reason though, like for him, to understand, like he didn't just wake up one day and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to just like go into this and become a suicide bomber because I woke up on a Wednesday. Like there was reason behind it. It was because he lost his wife. And Sayid just is kind of, again, like a very caring moment. He did it. I mean, obviously he's there for a mission, but very believable. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like, let's hang out, like, of course his friend was like, yes, like Sayid did an amazing job as like getting him to trust him. They haven't seen each other since like college. Like, cause he even was like, oh, you do remember me. They haven't seen each other in quite some time. And for this man to trust Sayid out of nowhere where he's like, yeah, come back to my house. Like, come and meet like group that like you shouldn't really know about. Like, so huge thing on Sayid. I'm gonna jump over back to the beach here. There's a lot of things that happen in this moment, and this is where I'm gonna stop. But we see that Charlie is being extra attentive to Claire again, and we just talk about how much he cares about her. He's like, you need sleep. Sun's there, being, of course, like the sun that she is. Like, we saw her telling Jack, like, Jack, please, like, you need to, like, just very calming. She's trying to explain to Claire, like, if we were in a hospital, a nurse would come and take the baby so that she could rest. Claire, of course, is being the mom. Listen, we all do it. Listen, for any future moms out there, I know how badly you want the baby to stay in the room with you. Send the baby to the nursery. You need that sleep in those first couple days. I was one of them that made the mistake, like, no, I want the baby in the room. No, send the baby to the nursery. Just do it. Listen, you have all the time. You have their whole lives to have them with you. The first couple days, send them to the nursery so you can sleep. Like, that's, like, it's for your own health, which is where Sun and Charlie were trying to say, like, you just gave birth. Like, you need to heal yourself. Then we have, even grosser than the first one, Locke, still in the bloody shirt, walk up to Shannon, of all people, ugh. With Boone's back, I cannot. That like you didn't think it could get worse. He shows up to the funeral, so you're like, oh, it can't get worse than this. Oh, just kidding, it does because he goes up to the one person that like is feeling this hurt the most, still in the bloody shirt, and then like here's the thing: hand the bag off, walk away. Nope, let me sit down and try and have a rational conversation of how your brother is dead because of me, covered in his blood. Makes perfect sense, Locke. Yeah, totally smart. Idiot. Asshole. Dick move. Fuck you, John Locke. Ding, ding, ding. Like, there's gonna be so many of them. We do see, here's the moment. Listen, Michael, you're gonna love me here in a second. We get Shannon, where she's like, so, Sayid, we're together. We're together. And Locke took out my brother. I'm gonna need you to do something about that. And he's like, oh shit. Okay. Yep. I've got you, babe. I've got you, babe. But I just love because she kind of comes in a little like deranged, rightfully so. But I love that she was like, I'm gonna need you to do something about that. She doesn't even need to say what because we all know who Sayid. Like we've learned, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
She's just like, I'm gonna need you to do something about that. I remember when you tortured Sawyer. I know what you've done in the past life. Like, I need you to do this. And it's all she really needs because Sayid's like, oh, of course. Sure. Gotcha, babe. Like, right on it. We do see that obviously Kate is trying to reason with Jack, like, you need sleep. Like, this is like, we're all trying to tell you, Jack, again, so stubborn. But again, like, he's fueled by rage and rage alone at this point. Maybe not wouldn't have gone about it the way that Kate did, but she got the job done. She actually drugs Jack with sleeping pills to make him fall asleep. I was also just trying to look out for him, but like I love this part when he's like, "Did you drug me?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like,
Maybe.
"Okay." He's like, "Okay, good night." It's a funny line here because it's just like, okay, I'm not even gonna fight it because I can't. I'm passing out. Again, here we go again. We have Locke now decides to take off the shirt, but not just take it off. Let's wash it in our drinking water, our like in front of Walt. Like Walt is traumatized. He loved Locke. Like we know that he was looking up to Walt or to Locke. All these things, and now he's turned into this monster because I mean, rightfully so. Locke, stop making horrible decisions. Like this whole like these are horrible decisions that you're making, and I just think it needs to be said again. Fuck you, John Locke. After of course this bloody shirt, we do see Sayid walk up to him and say, "Hey, we need a chat. We need a chat. You're gonna take me to the plane," which is where I'm gonna leave off because there was a lot that happened just in that section at the beach. But yeah, I mean, where do we want to start? Jake, take it over because, and if you want a good like fuck you, John Locke right off the bat, like go for it.
Well, yeah, him going up to Shannon and trying to have this conversation is so yeah, I was just shaking my head so much through that because it's just disgusting. You're gonna go up to someone who is grieving and you're just gonna be like sit right next to them in your bloody shirt, like and just try to have a conversation and be like, yeah, I totally was the reason for your loved one's death. Like, what the heck is your problem, dude? Like. This is so bad. So and then Shannon, this was a good moment for her. It's out of vengeance, but I can understand in this moment of why she feels that way. So, and saying Sayid, you need to do something because again, we all know she knows he's done some things like he can make people talk, he can persuade people. So. Yeah, this was an interesting scene to take a look at, and then Saeed's backstory. Again, really, really interesting of like doing this job for the government and then like befriending someone to accomplish that goal. So it's definitely very interesting.
I want to hear how Michael's going to spin that Locke was in the right ear. Hold on.
I'm not. I like he's not in the right. Like I can't defend that. I do think like he has to just be so shit at reading like social clip. Like because I do believe from his like speech at the funeral, the speech with Shannon, like I think in his own mind he is being genuine and he is trying to apologize and he's trying to make things right where he can, but he really can't read a room and like the most basic thing, like get rid of the blood, just change your shirt. It's so basic, but yeah,
Right.
love for some reason just can't do that. So I can't defend that as much as I do love Locke. Um, Also in this section, I do like the I find it funny that there's two characters that are refusing to sleep. We have one where it's like they just very nicely get Claire to sleep and Charlie's going to look after the baby. And then the other side, Kate has to drug Jack because he's so stubborn. Like, when is the last time this guy slept? He's been through so much. He's lost pints of blood. Like, he looks awful. He's been running through the jungle and he's still like, no, I'm fine. Like, I will not sleep. He's so stubborn.
Well, another thing, I'm like, it's maybe a nitpick. I just wanted to say, like, I'm surprised, like, the guys have not grown, like, giant beards by this point. Like,
they showed Jack shaving in the one
okay,
episode.
I forgot.
Because they have
showed-
razor, like people travel with like razors and stuff in their carry-ons, or not.
I realized, yeah.
I remember thinking the same thing, and so I noticed it when it did happen. I was
Okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay, that's why they don't have giant beards.
I need to look for that on a rewatch next time because like that makes complete sense because I'm like, yeah, I mean Jack just only has a little stubble all the time. Like I feel like this would be a giant beard by a month in.
There's a bit of TV magic. Like they would be like different lengths, but yeah, it's like they did make the effort to at least show him. But he's shaving stubble with a dry razor, which I mean, for anyone that's got facial hair, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Very painful. Very painful.
No, God. I mean, you all know I hate Locke. I find him to be so manipulative. The way he like goes to Shannon, who again, like, I mean, I don't think it's a big secret that people think of Shannon as being a weaker personality, right? So like goes, I know, shocking for Michael, but for the rest of us, like thinks of like, so he thinks that he can go to her when she's alone and he can convince her, like he can manipulate her because she's by herself now, and then like waltz by himself so he can manipulate him over in the caves. And like, bro, just be a normal person for a minute. Just be a human for a minute. Like you don't have to constantly be trying to convince people to follow you. Like you fucked up. Just own it and do the right thing. Change the goddamn shirt. Oh my God. It's so frustrating. So it drives me nuts. I again completely I mean, similarly, you would probably have to drug me in that moment because on a regular day, I go to work, go to the gym, do these. I like do everything I do on like 5 hours of sleep. So listen, I just didn't sleep for one night. I'll be fine. No, we got to do this. Like we got to finish this. Like I would be the exact same way. You'd probably have to drug me too. And then the stuff with Sayid. Wait, does this include the stuff with Sayid where he finds the like, did we get to that part?
No, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but like because I'll talk about that when we get to that because there's something about that that kind of amuses me.
Yeah.
One last thing before we get to that section as well. Like, I really like how they portrayed Shannon's like grief in this episode. She obviously broke down at the end of the last episode, but then this one she's just like so like shut off. Like she can't speak at the funeral. She's just like, if you got anything to say, she just says no. And that's when Sayid steps in. And for most of the episode until she goes to Sayid, she's like completely shut down, just not speaking. Doesn't look like she's gonna cry, just like blank faced, just in shock. Yeah.
The only time we saw her breakdown was when she was by herself.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that it does show, like, I mean, because, I mean, becoming numb after a tragedy like that is a very real. A lot of people do shut down and just kind of go numb in that moment. And I will give props where props are due. She's playing this phenomenally. Maggie Grace is. And so it's just, I mean, also, I mean, I also too am like a Jack in this moment. I'm not, you would have to drug me. I'm not stopping. Like, I'm one of those go-getter. I like, you guys know me. I don't sleep. I get like 2 hours of sleep every night because like, I just don't sleep. That's like my time for myself. And then like, I wake up and kids go to school and I work and you know what I mean? So like, I'm a constantly go-getter too. And especially if I'm fueled by rage like that, oh man, yeah, you definitely are drugging me. You're definitely drugging me. So I understand Jack in this moment.
Imagine this hair coming at you with 0 sleep. You're gonna be scared as shit.
But I do also want to kind of go back to like what you were talking about with Shannon here is like Locke is just this is not the time, first of all. Like, it's literally not even been 24 hours. It's like, I get that he was gonna bring the bag back to her and stuff, and like maybe like what Michael's saying, he thinks he's like, there's no problem here. But I want to point out that other than him hitting the hatch on the night that Boone like got hurt, like last night, basically, we don't see any emotion from him. He's been like your ride or die forever. And we don't like, because at that point he didn't know that Boone was gonna die. Like, so you show up and instantly start defending yourself, right? Like, that just screams guilt. So of course they're all gonna jump on you like that because we don't see any tears shed from you. We don't see any remorse. We don't see anything. You know what I mean? Like, he instantly starts like defending himself. Like, there's
because he thinks he's the special one, and he thinks that this was all the way it was supposed to go, and so it just is.
I'm just saying, like, think about that for a second. Like, he left Boone in the care of, like, granted, he probably thought, like, okay, he's not gonna make it, but he didn't know for sure. He didn't know for 100. So he walks up and Boone's dead. Like, you've like in that you have no emotion other than to defend yourself. Like, again, screw you, bro. Like, no, not cool, not cool at all. Like, Boone gave you so much. Like, Boone, again, I made a joke, is his lapdog. Like, his just is like follows him around like this lost puppy and like gave so much to their friendship, you know, and then Locke just doesn't care. Like, just messed up so badly. Moving forward, we do get back to the flashback where Sayid has now entered the friend's home again. Like, the fact that like 2 seconds in and they haven't seen each other, and then Sayid's able to convince him to come back to his house is just like good for Sayid. But yes, we do see, as Kevin was mentioning, Sayid is sitting there talking to them, but he notices that the smoke detector is not going off and they're all smoking all these things, the lights, you know, all these things. Just, again, from his training, it's just like things that people wouldn't think of. He obviously goes out and pulls the bug out because they had bugged their apartment, because obviously they're trying to get some information and evidence against them. And just, I think it goes to show Sayid and all of the training that he's had leading up. Without even having to like really go into too much detail on it. It's like kind of a quicker flashback, but it to prove who Sayid is. Going back to the beach, we see that Charlie has taken the baby to let Claire sleep, and the baby is losing its shit. Like, the baby is not having it. The baby is like over it. And also, can we take a moment that like Charlie's talking to him, like called him Turnip Head? Like, he's like, doesn't tell you name him, but like, Charlie. Like,
oh, it was such a good moment.
We could have come up with something a
They should
little
just run
better.
with Turnip Head. Just call him Turnip Head.
Oh my god, too funny. But we see that he walks up on Hurley and he's singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider completely wrong. And he's like, Hurley's like, I mean, maybe there's a British version, which I love it. Michael instantly is, or he's like, there's not. There's not. But I love this interaction because they're just, Hurley's like, have you like fed him? He's like, yep, we're good. He's like, have we changed his diaper? He's like, we're good. And he's like, all right, I'm bringing out the big guns. All right, this is it. I fixed it all. I'm solving all the problems. To which he like starts singing, and nothing helps. The baby's still crying. And then he's like, that's all I got. That's all I got. I don't know what to tell you at this point. We do
this usually works.
Right, usually works. We do see that Sayid and Locke are now walking to the plane. Sayid is basically interrogating him, which Locke quickly is like, you were an interrogator, right? And he's like, is that a question? You know, So he's asking him these questions to try and get him caught in a lie. We've seen him do this a couple times now. And just kind of trying to figure out, he's like, you said you were out hunting. He's like, oh yeah, I can't lie to Sayid. I can't manipulate this situation. Yeah, the boar ran out. We were out here exploring. Again, you can see, like, obviously we're gonna get to it at the end of this episode here, but like he's still trying to lie to cover up this hatch thing, which, like, oh my god, why? Who cares? It's a hatch in the ground. Like, nobody cares. It's not a secret. Like, this doesn't need to be a Locke secret, okay? So I still don't ever understand that. But we do see them heading off into the plane. And, Locke mentions, like, well, I don't know if you've lost your touch or whatever. And he's like, well, no. He's like, I believe there's a plane out here and you're taking it to him. And then they walk. He's like, well, like I said, you haven't lost your touch. Like, just a really good moment. Going back to the flashback here. Is he turning his camera off because I messed up the lock thing here?
No, sorry. Carry on.
Just kidding. We do see in the flashback that they're playing, Sayid and his friend are playing soccer. We find out that he actually admits now what is happening to Sayid, that there is this plan to do a mission, and he's the one that's going to be doing it. And Sayid has been told, like, you have to convince your friend to do this because we don't know where the C4 is. You don't get the C4 until you're literally on the way to go and do the suicide mission. And so the CIA, like, now Sayid has had to convince his friend to blow himself up. Like, this is crazy. Like, can you imagine somebody going, "Well, tell your friend that we need him to die." Like, but in Sayid's like, I mean, but he wants out, and they're like, well, then we're gonna arrest her. Like, again, they're using this leverage of Nadia, and he cares so deeply about Nadia, and we've only seen that one little interaction with them, but for him to be able to be like, okay, fine, I guess I'm gonna go convince my friend to blow himself up here over Nadia. So, like, they knew exactly what they knew how deeply he cared for her, for them to be able to use that leverage to be able to, because I mean, I don't know if I could convince somebody to go blow themselves up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you held my kids or something hostage, right, like, there'd be like, you'd have to do some serious stuff to make me be able to tell somebody to go do that. So,
yeah.
I want to stop here because there was a lot to unpack with the Locke, obviously, and Sayid thing, and then the Sayid flashback. So, what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the Sayid stuff with, I believe his friend's name is Haisam. Yeah, so just him convincing, yeah, it's just crazy to me that this is like the whole mission of like telling someone they just need to blow themselves up is just insane. Like, I can't fathom that or process that. And then obviously like the Sayid stuff with John Locke is so interesting, and like John Locke is like still trying to lie to him, pretend this hatch doesn't exist, which Sayid of course knows it does. So like the fact that Sayid is just like so calmly, like, interacting with Locke in this way, like, and he knows like what the hatch is, or that it exists, and just, I think Locke is still trying like his manipulation tactics, but it's not going to work on someone who has been around the block like Sayid has, as compared to Boone, who is younger and, like, we'll just say it, like, dumber. I mean, like like, yeah, that has less experience than Sayid. So
yeah, I mean, he doesn't try these things on Jack and Sayid and and Sawyer. He tries these things on Boone and Shannon and Walt, right? Like, and they work on those people, like, because it's not going to work on Sayid. And as we see, when he tries it on Sayid, it doesn't work. Like,
well, this is also the point too, where, I mean, even like, we don't see it right away because it comes back out at the end of this episode. But this is the moment where they're at the plane and he is mentioning the hatch to him. This is also where we find out Jake was right, which I know Michael. Yes. There's a lot that happened as I kind of threw them all together. But he even he questions him about the hatch right there, and he's like, the hatch? What are you talking about?
I don't. The
He's like,
planes have hatches. I don't know what you
well,
mean.
no, it's like that's what's funny is he's like, tell me about the hatch. And he's like, what? I don't know, hatch. What are you talking about? And he's like, John, quit bullshitting. Like the hatch. And he's like, oh shit, I can't like convince him there's not a hatch. He's like, the hatch of the plane.
He still keeps
Britt.
trying though.
Thinking.
Like he keeps trying to pretend
Right.
that.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there was a lot here to unpack. So I mean, that's why I kind of stopped because there's
Yeah.
a bunch of interaction here between Locke and Sayid.
I also the layers of what's happening in the flashback. Like you have Sayid. First of all, when the double-sided, like the double meaning of him destroying the bug, right? Because on the one hand, it earns him the trust with the people there, but it also means that the people that he doesn't like, that he's forced to work with, can't spy on them anymore. Like I love that in Sayid. Like he gets what he wants from both sides from that. And then he's like, yeah, this guy, like he wants to do the right thing. The right thing is this person doesn't want to do bad things, and like we should get him out of this organization that's forcing him to do bad things. And the supposed good guys are like, no, you have to convince him to do it. Like you have to. And so like, again, to have put this on TV in 2005 is amazing. Like, well done. And I see the thought process of like, okay, well, I can convince, like, I just have to convince him to lead us to the next step. He doesn't actually have to follow through. I have to convince him to do it, but he doesn't actually have to do it because I just need him to lead us there. And then I can protect him and I can protect Nadia. Like I can see how the thought process of like, okay, I can do this. I can keep everybody safe. Like he's trying to play all the sides as best he can at the same time. And like, well tried, well attempted, like good plan. As we will see, it doesn't necessarily work out perfectly. But yeah, like it's very calculated on his part. And I mean, props to Sayid. And props to Sayid for calling out John's bullshit in the current timeline.
Michael, you're gonna give us all kinds of intel here. I feel it.
I'll talk about the flashback first before we get into Locke Sayid stuff. Like, I'm kind of hesitant to like talk about this stuff because it is so heavy, and I don't claim to be an expert on any of it.
Yeah.
But this is not only just after 9/11. This is during the war with Iraq.
Yes.
Sayid is an Iraqi character. These are Iraqi terrorists being portrayed, and seeing it be done for one of those characters in a sympathetic light, where it's this guy has been like radicalized through grief, and these other legit terrorists have, brought him in and used his grief to turn it into anger at innocent people. It's really like heavy stuff.
Yes.
And yeah, so bold of Lost to put that on television in 2005. On the bug, I read it differently. I read it like Sayid obviously knew there was a bug. I thought maybe the CIA had told him where the bug was, and that was he immediately went and got that bug as that show of trust, rather than it being like he actually worked it out. I thought he already knew it was there, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
I mean, maybe. I thought it, like I said, I thought it was the double, like, it's going to earn me the trust. Like, he knows there must be a bug somewhere because that's how they're getting the information. Mm-hmm. So he's like scanning. He figures it out. Oh, that's where it must be. And like, to earn the trust with you all who are here, I'm going to destroy the bug. And then as like an FU to you guys who are screwing me over, I'm going to destroy the bug. So now you don't get the information anymore.
That's kind of how I always took it. For anybody that's watching at this point, like, I mean, tell us in the comments, what are your thoughts? Did you think, like, where we're at that he found the bug and tried to earn the faith here, or did they tell him where it was for that specific reason, like Michael's thinking? So let us know in the comments.
I like that not everything is given a definitive answer, that you can kind of have these little debates about it. And yeah, I've got to get to the Locke stuff. Like, what I just appreciate so much is how well written all these characters are, and having like Locke and Sayid go back and forth. it's such a good toe to toe, and like you can see that Sayid just absolutely sees through Locke in that moment, and Locke's trying to be very like open and honest with him, and like, why don't you trust me? And like even when he gives him the gun, it's like, does that earn you any trust? He's like, I caught you concealing it. It earns you adaptability, which is such a good line because Locke is absolutely that. He is adaptable in these situations. So it's just such a fun back and forth. And I think they're two characters that we haven't seen interact very much up until this point, and getting them coming together in this episode, especially with the whole obviously learning that it was Locke that attacked Sayid, it gives that whole partnership and dynamic between them so much added depth. And yeah, both actors are fantastic. I love all the Locke Sayid stuff in this episode.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, he even says to him, like, he's like, why didn't you tell me when it happened? And he's like, well, you would have not had a conversation with me about it. You were still heated. But also I do want to touch on too that again we brought this up is that like we all know that when 9/11 happened, like that was still, I mean, this is only a few years after. Like it's still very fresh in people's minds. It's still very raw and emotional for people. And obviously it's like they're touching on it to be like, yes, we are aware because it's what happened to us, but we want to kind of show you another side that maybe not all of them are there and out for us. They get thrown into this from one way or the other, or grief, or family makes them do it, or whatever. Like to sympathize, like to try and make the U.S. people sympathize with the suicide bomber is like, I mean, again, it's like bold, huge, bold move, and I think that it was something that I think, especially because we do see that there were a lot of times where people like they went to go on a plane and they saw an Iraqi or Middle Eastern person, they were like, "Oh, I don't want to get on the plane." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get on the plane now, and so it's just kind of. I do love that they took that bold statement and they ran with it, and it's amazing that Lost did that.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to touch on here before I move on? All right, cool. All right, so we do get Sayid back and goes up to Shannon, tells Shannon he believes Locke, believes that it was an accident. She is still in the mentality of, well, our leader, Jack, does not think that. Like, this is inaccurate. Like, thanks for nothing. You were supposed to be the boyfriend that would torture him. That's not what I asked you to do. I didn't ask you to go believe him. We also see a very, like, gosh, this moment's so, like, heart-wrenching, but, like, so cute at the same time, where Walt's starting to question the raft. What if it tips over? How much weight can this hold? What if, like, a shark attacks us? Like, all these things. And then he's like, what if we die? And his dad's like, we're not gonna die. We're fine. And he goes, but Boone died. And that's such a, like, to put this in here as a kid, like, he's 10 years old. It's so, like, kids don't shoot, I mean, some adults don't really understand death, you know what I mean? And so, like, to put in the perspective of this 10-year-old trying to come to terms with what just happened of Boone dying on his island, I think that was a really well put in moment that needed to be in there. And Michael just kind of taking that moment of being an amazing dad and being like, it's okay, buddy, like, like kind of comforting him. And then in the midst of all of that comfort, we have Sawyer come in with all of his new nicknames, because Charlie cannot, he's looking for son. Jen, he's like, no, not the time, dude. We're still not talking. But Sawyer walks up with all these new nicknames, to which we all joked he's the baby whisperer because the baby stopped crying when Sawyer's around. I also get happy when Sawyer's around, so I understand baby. So, I mean, yay. We also see that Jack is now awake from his drugged up nap, and he notices very quickly that the key to the gun case is missing. And so he's like, we've got a problem. He immediately, they think it's Locke. They're like going after Locke. Sayid's like, whoa, what's happening? What's going on here? And he's like, Locke took the gun key and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, actually, no. I kind of just pissed off Shannon. And she's fueled by grief and rage, and she definitely took it. So we see them all take off. We get to the flashback here where Sayid's, they come and pick up Sayid. It's time for the mission. It's time for us to, do the plan here. They get to this warehouse where they get into this truck, and they're like, okay, wear this, drive normal, windows down, like telling the plan, you guys are great for doing this, and they leave. So then Sayid and his friend Hassam get into this truck, and we see that Hassam, he's praying, he's like, this is my moment. Hi, King. Um, we see like, okay, this is what I've been led to do here, like for my wife, like, again, but you still see this, like, I don't really want to do this on his face, but like, I'm going to. So then when we have Sayid do a big reveal, like, I'm gonna save you. We don't have to do this. I'm gonna let you run away, and you're out of this, and you don't have to worry about it. And I'm gonna turn them in. I've been working with the CIA. Oh, it did not go how Sayid thought it was gonna go. It did not go how Sayid thought that was gonna go. His friend turns the gun on him real quick, fast in a hurry. How dare you? How dare you use my wife like you told me you lost someone and made me bond with you? How dare you? Sayid, true fear on his face, like, oh God, like, I really didn't think this was gonna go this way and I'm about to die. To which we see a very, like, very serious, raw moment of him taking his own life. Like, well, screw you. Like, screw you. You're not gonna get your way. You're not gonna be the hero here that saves me after what you've done. God, there's just so much raw. Oh, like, just hit you in the gut where it hurts moment here. I want to stop here because I feel like this is such a heavy thing that we have to talk about because there's so much here we see, like, not even just with Shannon and the things that are happening on the beach, but like also with his flashback. Who wants to start?
Yeah, this was a very heavy moment here in the flashback. Like Sayid is just like, I want to let this man just go free and live his life and not do what the government is asking me to do. And so unfortunately, this ends up causing Hassam to, take his own life anyway, and then like the government just assumes Sayid accomplished his mission. So like it's unfortunate to watch, and like yeah, as someone you mentioned earlier when talking also about the Walt situation, talking to Michael about like the raft and life and death. I mean, I said it last episode, just I don't understand death either. So that's something I can kind of relate to a little bit, but yeah, no, just deep moments. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Walt processing that as a kid is so well done. Like well written. Like you can see, like you see that, like it seems like the kid asking the questions and it's like, well, Baboon died, right? And you're like, oh, that's what this is. Like, okay, buddy. Like, I get it. Very well done there. I think the stuff with Sayid in that flashback, when it because we know what Sayid is doing, and so it makes so much sense of like, yes, we're gonna get you, I'm gonna give you the 10 minutes to get away, like, and you're out, you're free. And he's like, you used me and used my wife's death so that you could get the girl who's still alive. Like that's the betrayal that he feels for. It's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. And then like just like he's still so filled with grief, and he feels so alone now. And like this person who is supposed to be like literally his ride or die has stabbed him in the back. Like,
right.
It's terrible. And like such a reminder of like perspective matters, like,
right.
Like just because you intended this thing doesn't mean that that's how someone else is going to see it. Right. So well done. Heartbreaking. Two heartbreaking episodes in a row. And we didn't talk about the very last scene.
It's coming up, yeah.
But yeah, just very very well done across the board.
And like also the fact that this is something that Sayid's going to live with for the rest of his life, because not only does he take his own life, but his last words are like, "I hope she makes you whole again." Essentially, like, "I hope it was worth it," kind of thing. So it's like not only is he feeling guilty about the whole thing, it's like I don't know, it's so difficult. And like Jake said as well, it's even more kind of brutal and uncaring in a way where it's like, oh well, the mission was accomplished. Like you got the C4, this guy died. Like we don't really care about that. And yeah, it's just like a rough flashback for Sayid. Two rough flashbacks for Sayid. The second Sayid episodes, they're both pretty brutal for Sayid. And I do like that there is some like levity in the stuff with Sawyer and like him being the baby whisperer. It's a nice little subplot in this very heavy episode. And go Shannon, being amazing. She should be like a Lara Croft in a remake.
Maggie Grace did turn out to be a real badass when she played her character on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, she became useful.
She's always been useful.
I also want to point out here for context, okay? This is why Sayid was in Sydney. This is why he got on, and we're gonna get to it in the last flashback here. But to put this into perspective, he tells his friends literally as he's about to die, "I hope this was worth it for you." And then he ends up on, it doesn't even happen. Like he ends up on the island, the plane crash. Like just think about this for a moment, that it literally it wasn't worth it because like he doesn't have her.
And it puts into context even the moment of, you know, him hurting Sawyer and then going what happened in Solitary, like more context, he literally caused a man to kill himself right before he got stranded on the island, and then he again hurts someone. So it's and this is fresh too. We're on the island a month now at this point, like a little over a month. Like this is still very fresh. Continuing on, they've all, of course, they're taking off after Shannon. We see Jack still not right. Like he still needs a lot of sleep. He still needs to replenish himself, which is why he collapses. Sayid continues to run. Kate comes back for Jack. Sayid walks up on Shannon, pointing a gun at Locke. Thank you, Shannon. Finally, yes, I was so excited. Oh gosh, this again where I hate Locke. She doesn't believe me, Sayid. Shut up. I would have pulled the trigger right there.
Right, no one believes you. No one believes you.
We asked you to talk, okay? We do see Sayid trying to talk Shannon down. Like, Shannon, like, I'll explain why I believe, like, let's talk. And she's like, no. We see Kate and Jack run up here. Sayid is still trying to talk Shannon down. She's like, Jack, you told me he was a liar. We do see that Sayid instantly knows, oh, she means she's going to do this. She is definitely going to shoot this man. And I mean, we even see Jack a little bit, like, his facial expression is like, she's about to kill Locke because of something I said. But, like, is it a bad thing? Like, he kind of was like, I mean, I was going to kill him too. So, like, maybe it's not a bad thing. But obviously Sayid reads it very well, where he goes and tackles her and takes the gun. It does graze Locke's head. I'm very mad at Sayid in this moment that he went and saved Locke's life, but here, you know, whatever, it's fine. It's totally fine. We do see on the beach here, the baby whisperer, that is my man Sawyer. He's reading a car magazine to this baby. This baby's living his best life listening to Sawyer's voice. I could listen to his voice all day long, so I understand. Claire walks up like, what is happening? What? Why are these two men holding my baby, reading a car magazine? I don't. And Charlie's like, "Oh, come here! This is the best thing ever. We got our own nanny. Like, let's go!" And it's just a very cute moment in a very heavy episode. Like Michael was mentioning, that Sawyer kind of brings in the lightness to this very deep and heavy episode. And it's just a sweet moment where, you know, even Claire's just touching the baby's head. Like, oh, okay, this is a cute moment. It was a little weird at first when I walked up because I didn't know what was actually happening, but it's just like a very sincere moment there. We then get our final flashback where the CIA has arrived. They're taking the body out. They're like, here you go. Here's your ticket. Like, bye. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, nothing. They just
So cold.
so cold. Yeah. Um, to the point of Sayid goes, well, what's gonna happen to the body? And they're like, well, I mean, she walks away. Like, she literally, like, she didn't even answer him. She just like walks away. We do find out from the other, the other agent there that, he'll be cremated, which is Sayid says that we'll recommend they're supposed to be buried, and they're like, well, there's nobody to claim the body, and he's like, I'll claim him. I'm claiming him. And they're like, you're getting on a plane in 2 hours. Like, and he's like, change my flight. Again, we've seen this time and time again how people weren't supposed to be on this flight and they ended up on this flight. And so they of course changed his flight to what would have been now the flight that ends him up on the island, just so that he can kind of full circle moment. I caused this, let me at least do this last thing for him, because I just definitely messed that up. Going back to the beach here, we see him walk up to Locke's hopefully putting on the balm that he used to Boone to make him like hallucinate, but he is fixing his head. Sayid walks up and he's like, I know that probably cost you, and I just wanted to let you know like, thank you. And he's like, sure, no problem. So about the hatch. End episode. Like, Sayid is like, yeah, I'm not falling for your shit. I was letting you have a moment because I was gonna come back. We weren't done. I didn't believe you. Like, you read this all wrong, bro. Like, I did not believe you. And now we're gonna talk about this hatch. We're gonna have some words. So again, leaving us like kind of like, what is happening? Like, I have to go to the next episode. What about the hatch? What is happening? Yeah. Talk to us, Jake, about your feelings here on this in this ending.
I was ready to see Sayid go to the hatch and kind of figure some stuff out and like figure it out for the audience, but I guess it has to wait till next episode. So that's what I was excited for, and everything else, obviously, Shannon's revenge and Sayid making the move, and he even tells Locke here, like, I only kept you alive because, we need you to survive. And so, like, I think, like, Sayid knows what he's doing, and like Sayid is guessing that more is coming, like more will be coming that they're gonna need him for. So I'm interested to kind of find out why, and it just seems like fate and destiny keeps, keeping people around, bringing people here. Like, what is going on that these people are meant to survive certain things? It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting that Sayid is so smart, right? Because he never says he completely believes John Locke. He says, I think it was an accident. I don't think he intentionally hurt Boone. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when he comes upon them in the forest and it's raining, and he says, she doesn't believe me. It's kind of like, well, neither do I. Right. Like, mm-hmm. And I think that's what leads us to that. Like, okay, so now you're going to lead me to the hatch. Like, you're going to tell me about this hatch. Like, yeah. No bullshit. And like, I love that, like, in that moment, like, Locke thought that he had, he thought that he had done it. And that's why he's like, she doesn't believe me, right? He thought he convinced Sayid, and Sayid comes back to be like, oh, no. I did not believe you. I love that. I do think too, it's important to go back to not only that he wasn't supposed to be on that flight, right? Like, this is yet again another character who had an opportunity to not be on flight 815, but also that, like, we've talked about how Jack's still processing his dad's death on that plane, right? Like, when he crashes, and we find that out in episode 5 or 6 or something. Like, we find that out very early on, that he's still dealing with that. But Sayid's going through the same thing in just a silent way, and just like remembering that that's how Sayid deals with it. And like it's so interesting then to look back and be like, oh, like we've been like, how have we like been kind of mentally treating both of these characters? Like, are we giving them the same grace? Are they acting the same way? Like I think it's so interesting to go back and think about those things, because he literally stayed to claim the body, like and dealing with the guilt and the grief of like my friend that I am responsible for him dying. And it's so much. And like again, I just think so interesting to think about the difference in how those two characters handle it. And just amazing show.
This is a difficult episode for me. I don't like to see my two favorite characters fighting. But bravo, Shannon. I totally understand her wanting Locke dead in that moment. I am grateful that Sayid intervened, because we wouldn't want to be robbed of such a fascinating character. But yeah, I get her wanting that. And we can all celebrate Shannon in this episode. I can't wait for across the board unanimous MVP of the episode. It's going to be so much fun.
Go that far.
And she's still gonna pick Sawyer. She's gonna pick Sawyer.
I know. She better at least get a shout out. On the ending of the episode, I do find it quite funny when Sayid comes up to Locke. The idea that Locke is sat there kind of being like, I think I might have got away with this. And then Sayid's like, you're going to take me to the hatch. And it's like, oh shit, maybe not.
Yes.
It's definitely that oh shit moment. Like, oh crap. Yeah, I think again, it's I can't imagine what's going through Sayid, like, because we talked about that this is literally like not even a month ago that he was facing this. So it's like I think in this moment he knows, especially because now Shannon's upset, like so many things that maybe he's like looked at his like decision making lately, you know. But I think going with Sayid, he had this plan all along. Like he wanted Locke to get his like put his guard down, right? Like, oh, okay, like yeah, but like that was his plan, and like Shannon just kind of accelerated it, rightfully so. But I think that this was his plan all along. Like, I'm gonna make him think he got one over on me, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna like snatch it all out from under him when he least expects it, which is exactly what he did. But again, like for him to deal with like so much of this like guilt, and you know, because now he's like, Shannon hates me because I wouldn't let her kill Locke. Also, because I need to find out where the hatch is. Like, if she would have done this like 2 days later after I found out where the hatch is, I might have let her do it, you know. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, just again, very heavy episode, just really well done. But like, man, back to back, like just rough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get to favorite and least favorite.
All right. So I'm gonna leave Shannon for Michael to give her a shout out. For me, I'm gonna go with Sayid for my favorite character. Just being able to get all the information that is needed, and you know, the flashback of just like very deep, but I mean it's mainly for the John Locke stuff and getting all the information and being able to just, you know, bullshit Locke. And yeah, I enjoyed that part of it. And then least favorite, John Locke, for just being an utter asshole and like showing up with the bloody shirt not once but twice in situations like read the room. Does not bode well for John Locke for our special surprise at the end of the season, because I don't think he'll be able to read the room there and other situations. So we'll see there. But yeah, John Locke is going to get least favorite for me.
I will go with Shannon because she's amazing. And, what more does she need to do? She's now a badass with a gun. She shot Locke in the head. You all hate Locke so much. She shot him in the head. You can't give it to Sayid. He saved
He
him.
grazed him in the head.
He would have killed him, but Sayid intervened. This was a great episode for Shannon. I really liked that they gave her, a lot of depth in the immediate episode after losing her brother, and she does such a great job with that. I think this was a real coming out episode for Shannon as a character. So yeah, I love Shannon. I was happy to see her get her big moments in. And for least favorite character, I've got to go with Baby Turnip Head because it just wouldn't stop crying.
Oh my.
I can't give it to Locke. I'll give it to Baby Turnip Head.
You have to pick Locke. What do you mean? There's no other acceptable answer.
Michael just gave a baby least favorite character
over the man that shows up in a bloody shirt to the person he killed.
My God.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
I am going to honorable mention Shannon. I'm not going to give her honorable mention because she does shoot Locke in the head. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. But yeah, she does get a lot to do. I think she handles the grief of losing her brother really well. But I mean, my favorite character is Sayid. He's so smart. He's so interesting. He's so layered. Like we find out so much about him, and we know those things. Like the people on the island with him don't know these things, right? Because he's so he's able to conceal all of that. And he's so intriguing of a character. So definitely my favorite. But thank you, Shannon, for shooting Locke in the head. And the least favorite is obviously John Locke. The man is fucking insane. He's showing up to the funeral with the blood all over his shirt. He's rinsing the shirt in the communal water supply. He's still trying to lie and very unconvincingly to someone whose job was to interrogate people. Idiot, moron, terrible. I hate him.
Oh boy. All right, so I'm gonna start with my least favorite character. It is Shannon. No, I'm just kidding. But also it is kind of Shannon because she missed. All right, you had one job. You had one job. No, my actual least favorite character is Sayid because he stopped her. I'm just kidding. I'm also just kidding. Anyway, it's my actual real legit, no more joking, is John Locke because duh. I don't even need everybody's already said it. It's obvious. Favorite character, I will never give it to Shannon because no. But I will give her a shout out just for Michael. So she did try, but she missed, proving my point that she's useless. But obviously, you guys already know it's going to go to Sawyer. This is a very heavy episode. And again, the story arc, we've talked about this. He has completely changed who he is. He is reading to babies. Who would have thunk episode 1, Sawyer, of all people, was going to be reading to a baby to make it stop crying? No. I'm sorry. It's Sawyer. Sawyer is definitely the favorite character.
I mean, there are a lot of good characters, so it's, fine.
I mean,
it's fine to shout out some of the others. It was a cool moment. We're used to seeing Charlie and Hurley hanging out together. So them on the beach talking to the baby is fine. But Charlie and Sawyer, calming a baby, that was cute. So okay, fine.
It's legit.
The right answer is Sayid, but okay, it's fine.
He almost made my least favorite just because he stopped Shannon. He was it was legit a thought. It was legit a thought. All right, ranking.
All right.
Yeah, top 10, we have Walkabout, The Pilot Part 1 and 2, Do No Harm, Confidence Man, All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues, Deus Ex Machina, In Translation, House of the Rising Sun, Numbers, and Solitary. I'm very torn on this one. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think.
Yeah, I am too.
I'll start it out.
Yeah, you can go.
This is not top 10.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah, this is not top 10. This is, we'll give it 12 or something. I don't know.
I think the highest that I would consider putting it would be below House of the Rising Sun. The only reason I would consider putting it in the top 10 is just because, like, to have this portrayal of Iraqi people in 2005 was such a big deal.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think that this is like nearly as, like, I mean, the rest of those are just, they're just so much more important.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point now where the top 10 is like banger episodes. Like,
Right.
we're covering so many episodes that putting something outside the top 10 at this point isn't like a knock on the episode.
Right, exactly.
But like, if we're putting
top 15 is still really good.
Right. Yeah. If we're putting this in top 10, that would mean we're bumping Sayid's other episode, which is Solitary, and I feel like we got 10 times more than we got the French in there. We got his backstory more. I just feel like, I'm sorry, like, I mean, it's fitting that it's a somewhat of a Shannon episode and it's not making top 10. So.
All right. No, like I said, I think the highest I would put it would be 8, but even then, that's like, you'd have to argue me to that.
Yeah, I was never like the highest. I was gonna probably say maybe 10, but I agree that Solitary was like a better Sayid episode. There was more to it, and like, so I'd probably say this gets like 12 for me. I think that's
that's kind of where I put it too.
Pretty good spot. So
I was putting it between White Rabbit and Tabula Rasa. If we put it at 12, White Rabbit continues to plummet.
No, I mean, I think White Rabbit's better than this one. So yes, I didn't know where, because we haven't talked about the outside of the top 10 in a while, so I didn't know. So yeah, I think I think White Rabbit's better than this one.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Sorry, I've just realized I messed that up. So that would make it the new 14 because we've dropped. I haven't changed the numbers from the previous list, so it would be 11 is Raised by Another, then Outlaws, then Homecoming, then White Rabbit.
Yes,
that's fine. That works. Yes, because there's so many good episodes of this show.
Yeah,
I don't think it's above any of those. Like literally thinking about the ones you just mentioned, like the Raised by Another, the Outlaws. Like no, like Homecoming. I'm still surprised Homecoming's down there, but like I mean, that's a good spot for it. 14.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that should be it for the greater good.
Greater good.
The greater good. Yeah. All right. So that'll conclude that, and I'll let you guys get to your spoiler part of the episode, and we'll see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
All aboard the fuck John Locke train. Choo choo.
Hello, everyone. We're here for another Tribe of Nerds After Jake, where we spoil all the things that are Lost, not just this season. So if you have not seen Lost in its entirety, get out. Shoo. Go away. This is your time. Yada yada.
Bye.
Go away. All right. We've given you plenty of time. You're on your own now. All right. So this episode we have, I mean, this is a kind of a crazier episode. We got a Sayid, the greater good here. I mean, the biggest reveal that we can reveal is, I mean, it's centered around Nadia. And, you know, he did this whole thing with his friend to be able to get to Nadia. Of course, he gets on the plane and crashes. But we do know that they eventually are rescued. The Oceanic Six.
He will be part of the Oceanic Six.
The Oceanic Six is coming up. And while they're doing their interviews as part of the Oceanic Six, they come out and tell Sayid that there's somebody here to see him. And he walks out, and there's Nadia. So he does actually end up with Nadia.
He does get reunited.
Well, I guess I should say reunited with Nadia, because we all know we're that way. But yes, so Nadia is going to make an appearance, and Sayid does actually get to see her. So that is a huge thing here. I mean, it's interesting because I don't want to go too much into spoiling that part of it, because once we get to that site, we're going to be able to spoil more. So I don't want to give everything away too much, but I do want to spoil that he does actually get to see Nadia. I mean, there's a lot, like, here's the thing about the Nadia situation. We know from his Solitary, like, he had not seen her since they were children. He had spent, like, what did they say? Like, months that he had spent, like, quote unquote torturing her to get this information, right? Didn't they say
Yes.
weeks maybe? I don't remember what it was. So he spends a little bit of time with her there, getting to know her. Obviously, there's a connection, but then he lets her go, and that's the last that they see each other. So for him to be so, I've got to get back to this woman is like that, like connection, right? Like
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean, this is crazy.
we see that a lot in Sayid, that he's not very, like, he will express how he feels, but he's very guarded. He's very like, so like you don't know how deeply he's feeling something until he tells you. So
right. What all these people might be thinking is, what about Shannon? Why is he hanging out with Nadia? Well, that's because Shannon is not part of the Oceanic Six, and she's not part of the Oceanic Six because this episode just happens to foreshadow my favorite episode ever, when she dies. She is about to die, coming up here very quickly. And
it happened so soon in season 2.
I know it's like maybe the 4th, 5th, 6th episode in.
Yeah, it's not very far, and it's like I would have liked for her to have more of a chance to be a character without Boone.
I don't.
No, like we even saw in these couple of episodes since he died, like she does do more. You know, like she is more involved. She does. She takes the gun to go confront Locke. Like she does do more without him. So like, and like that storyline was kind of strange. So I would have liked for her to have the opportunity to be a character without him.
Yeah, I mean, when I say foreshadowing, we know that in this episode that she dies, it is downpouring and Sayid is chasing after her. Just like in this episode, it's downpouring rain and he's chasing after her. Of course, in this episode, he comes up to her pointing a gun at somebody. In the other episode, he hears a gun go off, to which she comes out and falls into his arms and dies. I mean, I feel very bad for Sayid in that moment. It like has to be very traumatic for him in that episode. Also, I mean, that ends up being our only Shannon-centered flashback, is the episode she dies in. So I mean, we got a little bit of her from the Boone flashback, but yeah, it's, listen, I hate on Shannon, and I'm not sad that she dies, but I do feel bad for Sayid. It's a very heart-wrenching moment, especially because we know that the reason why she dies is because of Ana Lucia from the Tailies. They're coming back to all reunite, and so should be a glorious time, but ends up being a very tragic, and we know that's going to go. Ana Lucia won't let anybody leave. We know that Sawyer is very sick from things that are happening on the raft, like all these things. There's a lot of stuff going on in this moment, so yeah, a little crazy.
So yes, she's going to die. What else is this? Locke is going to lead Sayid to the hatch, which is going to lead to the hatch being public knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, we do see coming up here, he leads him to the hatch. We know that the hatch is going to get opened here at the end of season 1, and then they go down in the beginning of season 2, and a lot of things happen in this hatch. A lot of things happen in this hatch. A lot of like game-changing, show-stopping moments happen down in this hatch. So yeah, a lot of craziness that is to be led just from Locke actually getting his way here. But you know, more on that later. We spoiled little bits, because if we spoil it all, then there's gonna be nothing left in the spoiler section when we get there. So we'll leave it at that. The other thing that is spoiled here is another foreshadowing. We see that Charlie is taking care of the baby. Baby's name is Aaron. I almost actually spoiled that for Jake, but I did catch myself today. But we see him singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider to the baby, but he sings Drowning in the Rain, to which Hurley makes fun of him. Is like, is that a British version? No, it's just the foreshadowing of Charlie drowning.
Stop.
Ugh. Listen, I'm not prepared. Not prepared. And also, I mean, it's just sad. Oh God, it's just bad. It's just bad. I know I'm not gonna even bring it up, because in the next episode we're gonna have some more like spoilers that we can do for Charlie, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, he does foreshadow what is gonna happen to him here. So yeah, I mean, what else is there that we can spoil that we don't spoil for later on? We do know that Kate is eventually, like, we're starting to get the downfall of Kate here. We do see her drug Jack. So we know that we're getting a little bit more into Kate. So I'm gonna leave that because our next episode that we're gonna film here with Jake is gonna be Kate centric. So we'll leave more of those spoilers. But we do know that this is kind of the start of Kate's downfall, if you will. It's not really a downfall. That's probably not the best word, but like insight, I guess. Insight into Kate is probably better word terminology. So, yeah. Oh, also, I'm going to bring this one up. I forgot about this one. We do see the key around Jack's neck get centered quite a bit. There is a part when we see him attacking Locke at the beginning of the episode that his key's kind of like, pulling a little bit. We do know that when he gets down to the hatch, there is a magnetic force, and he shows Sayid that of the key kind of being pulled. They do kind of focus in on this key in this episode, which is going to kind of prove a point. Not just that key, but there's another key about the hatch. So yeah, a lot of key centric things too. But yeah, I don't have anything else.
No, there is. Well, I mean, there is kind of the funny moment of when Sayid asks Locke about the hatch, and he's like, the hatch that's right here, meaning the door to the plane, but actually there is a hatch right there.
Yes, which we
neither of them know it.
Yeah, we did discuss that with when the plane fell and things like that. But yes, he does not actually realize that there is a hatch under there. So, which leads to so many other hatches. Like a lot has to do with the Dharma Initiative. So
that Dharma Initiative,
which we will get a lot into.
They excavated a lot on that island.
Yeah, for sure. But that is it for the spoiler section of A Greater Good. The Greater Good, whatever. Whatever. But yeah, I purposely hate this episode because of Locke and his bloodiness and stupidity. Look, we don't have Michael here. We can fuck you, John Locke.
Fuck John Locke. Yeah, I mean, I guess spoiler that Jack will eventually attack Locke again.
This is not the ending of their fighting at all either.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We're going to be talking more about their battling when we do our spoiler section for the next episode. So tune in there. Again, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. If you're going to put a comment and it's a spoiler, put spoiler, all the way down, and then talk about it. Ask us questions. We're happy to answer them. If you have thoughts, theories, or anything that you've seen in this episode, let us know. We'd love to hear them. Again, if they have a spoiler, don't put it out there.
If Kristin messed something up, feel free to tell her. If I mess something up, you're wrong.
Also, again, if you guys did watch it, this is a heavier episode, and please, if ever you are ever feeling any kind of way like that, please seek help. Please seek professional help from a friend, family member, anything. Just please reach out, and you are not alone. So with that, we are going to end this episode, and we'll be back for another spoiler section. So see y'all then. Bye!